everybody, Cinda Sells here, and welcome to a new episode of Cinda Tells TV. So today we're going to talk about something that I think is very important when you're selling your home, and that is, and this is what I say to my people when we're sitting down to do the paperwork for the listing: spill your guts on the seller's disclosures. Now, the seller's disclosures, it says seller's statement of condition, which is, we shorten that up in real estate lingo to a seller's disclosure, because we're actually disclosing to the new and potential buyer everything that we know about the house. Now, here's what happens. You've lived in the house for 15 or 20 years, and you've done a lot of things over the years, and you didn't, maybe some people are good at record keeping and some people don't care anything about it. And so you, say for instance, you had 10 years ago, you had water in the basement and you fixed that water in the basement, but there hasn't been a torrential flood since you fixed it 10 years ago, and you sell the house and the buyer moves in and we have a torrential flood, and you forgot to disclose that on there, because on your seller's disclosure, because you forgot about it. You thought you fixed the problem, and all of a sudden you get a call from your real estate agent saying your home, your former home, has just flooded and the buyer is going to sue you because you did not disclose that there was water problems in that house. And they talked to the neighbor, and the neighbor knew about it too, because the neighbor had the same problem 10 years ago. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. So it's easy to forget. It's so easy to forget about things that happened many moons ago. And so what do? How do you solve that problem? Well, it's a good idea when you sit down not to just run through the disclosure, but to try to think about and a good agent is going to ask you, are you sure that you never had any problems, there was never anything that happened that you knew about, there wasn't a crack that you fixed over here? Or I had a situation about a month ago where the buyer or the seller did not disclose that they had the driveway mud jacked. And so what was interesting about it was when we went over to look at the house, if you know what you're looking for, which I don't want to say I'm an expert on mud jacking, but I know what it looks like on a driveway. There's usually holes where they made to pump the mud or sometimes now the silicone stuff into the driveway to push it up. And so you'll see those. They're different from termite holes. They're about this big and they're plugs. And so we were over there, we saw the plugs, and at first we thought it was a termite treatment. I'm like, those are too big for a termite treatment. And they didn't run along the house, they ran along the side of the driveway. Well, this house was a very well-maintained home. And so my buyer asked, it wasn't on the seller's disclosure. So my buyer asked what it was. And the seller simply forgot. They did it when they very first moved in the house for other reasons. The driveway wasn't sinking. They did it for other reasons to pump up the driveway better. And they didn't disclose it. And honestly, my buyers were suspicious, and they thought that they didn't tell the truth and they didn't disclose on purpose. Now, did the seller do that? No, they didn't do it on purpose. They simply forgot about it and weren't worried about it. But these are the things that I'm talking about. These people were going to make an offer and then change their mind because they felt like the seller was not forthcoming in disclosing everything about it. So remember to sit down with the seller's disclosure with the agent and do this together. She can help you with answering questions, because some of them will be a little bit more technically difficult, and she should know how to help you, to tell you what that means. And be careful of how you answer your seller's disclosure. Spill your guts. Remember, think about what you did in the time that you were there, and it'll be a happier, smoother transaction in the beginning of it and after. So if you have any questions about seller's disclosure or anything about listing your home, we can help you with all that. You can reach us always at 816-600-7355. I answer those phone calls, and I can direct you in the right way. And visit us on our website at cindasells.com. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.